I'd like to welcome you to the 2017 State of the City and begin by saying I am really impressed with your Chamber of Commerce and the way they put this event together. They deserve a round of applause. Thank you for all attending. Murrieta is the 52nd largest city of 482 in the state of California. The numbers came out just a few days ago, and we are at 114,914 people, 2.4% growth rate over last year. You will note from the slide that our vision is that we retain our quality of life while becoming a net importer of jobs. I want to talk for a little while about where we've come since the Great Recession began, and then talk about the future. As you know, we're going to have a change of command pretty soon. After almost a decade, Rick Dudley will give up the helm and turn over control to Kim Summers, and both of them deserve a round of applause. Your city council, which is cohesive, made the decision pretty quickly. We looked at this and said, this is an example of succession planning that will serve Murrieta well into the future. Under Rick Dudley's tenure, as I said, which was almost a decade, he became the city manager in November 2007. In early 2008, he hired Bruce Coleman, and that was the first of a string of really great department heads that were personally recruited by Rick Dudley. As you look at the next slide, in January 2008, Rick Dudley gave me a call, and he said, Mr. Mayor, we have $9 million extra. I was gratified, but it was kind of hard to believe. He explained to me that most of that was supplemental property tax from the year 2006. It took us 15 seconds to agree what to do with the money. We both said the economy is going to tank. We're going to need an economic contingency fund. And that $9 million sustained us through all those years of the Great Recession. And it also included a state of California, what I would call questionable takeaway of $5 million of our revenue. As you can see by this slide, our revenues dropped by 25% during those recession years. That meant we had to work harder, fight harder to attract businesses. Today, your city government is built on a stronger foundation with the best department leadership we have ever had in the city of Murrieta. Rick Dudley was able to hire a chief of police twice from within our city ranks. We hired a fire chief from Santa Monica, an assistant city manager from the High Desert, a development services director from San Diego County, a finance director from Ventura County, a clerk who used to be a city employee who came back to us by way of Moreno Valley, and both community services and library directors from within. I would match what Rick Dudley, together with Bruce Coleman, what they have achieved with any other city in the United States. Rick Dudley, thank you for your service. Okay, healthcare. Rancho Springs and its sister facility, Inland Valley, went through some hard times a decade or so ago. And the Council Healthcare Subcommittee, we assisted Southwest in any way we could. We did inspections with the CEO, and we would report to the community all the improvements we had seen. Today, their patient success is a mark of the corporate commitment to deliver quality no matter what the cost. And as you may have just read in today's paper, and that includes Rancho Springs NICU that has been staffed by Rady Children's Hospital personnel for quite some time. Forget that little faux pas. Next. Loma Linda opened in 2011. They were on an expedited fast-track program. The commitment that I, as the mayor at the time, made to the CEO of Loma Linda was that we would get them through the process as expeditiously as possible, and that we would begin the task of getting an interchange at Keller off the I-215. They opened on time, just like they planned, and we are 8 years into the planning process for the Keller interchange. We have 50% of the funds accumulated for construction. We're looking for the other 50%, and we hope to get started as soon as possible. And what I meant to say, my faux pas from a few seconds ago, was today's paper had an article, a new level 2 NICU will be opening soon at Loma Linda, and that NICU will allow parents to spend the night with their children. Thank you, Loma Linda. Thank you to all our hospitals. Next slide. Okay, Kaiser sat down with city staff, with myself, and with Council Member Kelly Bennett at the time. And they questioned us rather thoroughly on the city's vision, on council stability, and our opinions on city demands upon business in general and on hospitals specifically. Suffice it to say that Kaiser made the decision to invest in the city of Murrieta with an 800,000 square foot plus medical campus. The first phase will be complete later this year when we have the ribbon cutting on the medical office building. Next slide. Okay, Rady Children's Hospital of San Diego has been operating for quite some time on the Rancho Springs campus. They came to the conclusion that the business space here was sufficient for them to open up their own medical office building. If you've been by Hancock recently, you can see that there's a crane on that site right now. And so we're looking forward to a beam signing ceremony on the 31st of May. Health South will be the third anchor for the North Murrieta Technology Corridor. Their two-phased construction will result in over 80 beds for a rehabilitation of brain and spinal cord injuries. Next. The 4 facilities that you see right there are all in different areas of the city, but they all cater to seniors who have mobility, memory, and cognitive issues. As we talk about business, I wanted to highlight CarMax because they kind of illustrate a point. It exemplifies how this city does business. New council member Kelly Sayardo and I, when he was the old council member, we spoke with CarMax at the International Conference of Shopping Centers in May of 2005. It took 12 years to come to fruition. In this city, we have a team approach to economic development. Our team worked closely with CarMax and the entire corporation and presented options to them. We searched for the right site because we had available land. We coordinated a dialogue between owners, brokers, and the corporation. We solved issues up front. We even sold 10 acres of former redevelopment agency city-owned land to CarMax to help them round out their 40-acre need. This was a priority program with expedited approvals. From the time that they turned in their application to the time that CarMax opened for business was 22 months. In addition, we helped with a job fair. We connected the County Workforce Board, the Murrieta Valley Unified School District, and Western Municipal Water District for employees, for interns, and for make sure the water got turned on. And thank you to Brenda Denstead from Weston, who's in the audience tonight, for being on site the day before to make sure the water got turned on. The council always had Madison Avenue in the capital improvement program and in our general plan to be a 4-lane arterial. With council approval, the money was made available, and that road, as far as CarMax was concerned, opened the day before CarMax was open for business. So how is CarMax doing? In 2.5 months, over 12,000 customers. The first 1,000 cars have been sold. They are growing to a goal of 550 cars a week being built and refurbished. And at their weekly Monday auction, they sell cars at the rate of 1 every 4 seconds. The CarMax facility here, which is the largest in the United States, was the monthly award winner of CEO Bill Nash's Best in their first month, and that's a first for that corporation. Since they've been here, what else have they done? They've contributed 10K to Boys and Girls Clubs, 10K to Special Olympics, and 5K to Michelle's Place. BMW has begun the process to construct their own brand new facility. In February, Boris Said was notified that his dealership was one of 33 winners in North America to win a 2016 Center of Excellence. Boris was also selected as one of 35 international finalists for Excellence in Sales 2016, and he won Manager of the Year in the region Americas. He had to go to Munich to pick up that award. Next. With the opening of Marshall's last fall, when I cut the ribbon, Murrieta Town Center truly became the foremost soft goods center in Murrieta. Next. Okay, there's a lot of restaurants that have come to Murrieta since Rick Dudley's tenure began. There's probably some that I messed up there, and you have my apologies. But none of these would be here without the folks in economic development, and that means Bruce Coleman and his team. Thank you, Bruce. Next slide. Okay, I was speaking with Adam from the mill as he was serving that great food in the reception area tonight, and he did mention something that I'd heard him say once before, that when Andy Weigel and the downtown pub opened across the street, that increased business for everybody, including Aunt Tony at Anthony's. So Andy, thank you for bringing downtown pub. Adam thanks you, Tony thanks you, and Murrieta thanks you. We really appreciate that. And when Lagrange Winery and Cellars opens, that's the Weens family, we look forward to that opening as well. It wasn't the city who delayed them, but you need a federal permit to make wine. So we're moving forward, folks. Next. Oh, okay, we got it. Smart and Final, extra means more produce. Larger store, more produce. Cardenas, of course, has great Latino food. And Barron's Market, at the ribbon cutting for Barron's, Joe Shimarani, the president of Barron's, said, "I wouldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for the 200 phone calls that Bruce Coleman made to me." Next slide. Okay, breweries, Unique Pizza, 8-Bit Brewing, and Electric Brewing, and a shout out to 8-Bit Brewing for being the new home for the Chamber of Commerce's breakfast every month. Thanks for the great food, 8-Bit Brewing. Okay, you can see there's a few hotels that are in process and one that's open, but if you do the math, it amounts to that's 489 rooms that are either here or in the process of coming here. Next slide. Garage Brewing. There is a Garage Brewing in Temecula that serves beer. Garage Brewing in Murrieta will be making that beer with 10 specialty beers. Muehlhauser Steel is a Rancho Cucamonga firm who is moving to Murrieta. And lastly, Cyclic Variations is a company that makes exercise equipment to help keep you fit. Next. Okay, the chief couldn't be here tonight, but Captain Firms is representing the Murrieta Police Department, so let me make this statement first. The FBI statistics, when they were released recently, said that Murrieta is the number 3 safest city in the nation in terms of violent crime, and number 8 overall. Murrieta Police Department, stand up, Rob. Come on, stand up. Okay, there were 50 violent crimes in Murrieta in 2016, which is the lowest in our history. Propositions 47, 57, and Assembly Bill 109, collectively, they are the monopoly game get out of jail free card, as District Attorney Mike Hestron knows quite well. And we expected a big uptick in our property crimes. Most cities did see that spike, but here in Murrieta, we witnessed a slight decrease. I would attribute that to proactive policing and the fact that our officers have a great relationship with the community. Guys, you have done great work. Okay, Rob, you can just tell the chief, hey, Sean, you should have been there. We have 92 sworn officers, 44 non-sworn. They answered 27,000 calls last year, and they initiated another 22,000. Let me talk about dispatch for a second. Both police and fire shared dispatch, and dispatch answered 84,000 calls last year. Every year, they are recognized by the California Public Safety Radio Association. This year was no different. Last week, they won the award for Outstanding Performance by a Team Fire Runner-Up Award, the Outstanding Performance by a Team Police Runner-Up Award, and Julie Shannon, our Murrieta's lead dispatcher, won Supervisor of the Year. That's a big deal. Okay, Murrieta Fire and Rescue. A new name for our old department and our new team. Of the 60 or so firefighters, you can tell by the number on that slide, they were quite busy. In 2016, they dealt with 371 fires, 14,582 emergency medical calls/rescues, and they also made 259 miscellaneous calls, which would include those folks who have a rattlesnake in the backyard and don't know what to do with it. Call the Murrieta Fire and Rescue. They'll come out and pick it up. But they made national news, and a lot of you saw this on TV, with their swift water rescue of a family of 4 whose car was being swept away. What you saw on that TV news program was a well-trained crew executing the training they had been trained to, executing a rescue they had been trained to do. You know, the word hero is used in our society. It's much overused in our society. When you watched that Murrieta fire rescue guy on that tether taking that infant from that car, you knew that that was a hero. So besides having a bunch of heroes working for us, your accredited fire chief and your peer review accredited deputy fire chief are leading Murrieta Fire and Rescue in pursuit of an accreditation from the Center for Public Safety Excellence. That will enable us to hire firefighters from a much larger pool. And in addition, your fire chief, although he will deny it, that is his artwork. If you look at that painting closely, and you look at the detailed work in the vest, in the hands, in the revolvers, in the wrinkles in Clint Eastwood's face, Chief, you are an artist and a great fire chief. Okay, next. Our 51st Park, Alderwood, will be unveiled at the end of the year or early next year. We have 20 trails in Murrieta, and we have refurbished facilities at Cal Oaks Sports Park. That was Mr. Lane's baby, making sure that happened. And we are making major improvements to Town Square Park. There will be a real restroom there, and the amphitheater will be upgraded for major events. As you look at some of the events that took place at Town Square Park, I hope you all recognize that Leah Kolick, Laura Frasso, and Jerry Copeland and their team did a fantastic job of putting on events like the month-long holiday festival that we go through every December in Murrieta. Thank you, ladies. Great work. Next. Look at the statistics on this slide. You know, as you read through the numbers, all you can think is how incredibly busy the Murrieta Library is. What a great resource for everybody who lives in this community. The Comprehensive Autism Center recently presented a monetary donation to the library for all the caring and compassionate help for kids with autism. Thank you, ladies. Infrastructure. I believe in order first came the Linnell Lane overcrossing over the 215. Mayor Lane got to cut the ribbon on the Clinton Key 6-lane new bridge at the 215. Next came the Los Alamos Road I-15 overcrossing, and then Cal Oaks Road I-15 interchange, and lastly Jackson to Inez. That means your city council, working with a lot of different sources of funding, was able to cobble together $150 million. Next. Okay, all the bullets on this slide relate to the ongoing activities at the Murrieta Innovation Center. MIC stands for Murrieta Innovation Center. Dr. Mary Walshock, the UCSD Vice Chancellor, stated that we in Murrieta are doing all the right things to develop our long-term economic growth prospects by our use of zoning and pursuit of science, technology, and engineering math. And to that, I would add an A, STEAM, that also means the arts. You can applaud for that, folks. Okay. I had the privilege of declaring the City of Murrieta the Innovation Month for April. We have cooperated closely with Supervisor Washington and his office, and we had a number of events that were put on but jointly by the city and the county, including pitch events, which means that at the MIC, a number of business entrepreneurs got a chance to pitch for funding to the Tech Coast Angels. And the last picture there at the bottom, that's the Community Career and Tech Expo, and that gave all of us a chance to see what our kids are learning about in sciences, and what you would probably say, just like I did, boy, the average 7th or 8th grader knows a whole lot more about science than I did at the same time. So, next. America's best high school. So how do we get to that? Two primary reasons why people move to Murrieta: families and business. Move here due to safety and schools. We have a school district that is an honor roll district for the last 3 years. That means they're only one of 20 of 1,000 schools districts that have earned that award. All 3 high schools are in the top 10% in the United States, and they were named collectively America's best high school by U.S. News and World Report. With a 95% high school graduation rate, that's easy to understand why. The Vista Murrieta High School Marching Band was 14th in the entire United States of America. We have a bunch of talented musicians in our community. Murrieta Valley High School won the World VEX Robotics Championship in 2012. This year, our teams went to the World Tournament. We competed against 1 million participating students in 18,000 schools around the world, and our team, although we didn't place in the top 3, our teams finished in the top 1.5% in the world. The Murrieta Valley High School Virtual Enterprise team took first, second, and third in the state of California, and they took third in the U.S. Nationals. We got some really bright kids in our schools. We've got some great teachers in our schools and great programs. But what about the kids themselves? When you get to be the mayor, you get to go to the Student of the Month breakfast. So let me give you a quote from one of the Students of the Month. Almost all of the 6 that were up there said, "I thank God, I thank my parents, and I thank my teachers." One of those 17-year-olds also said, "I wish that all of us could see each other the way God sees us." So, to being the nomenclature being smart and caring, I would add maturity as well to a lot of our kids. So thank God, and we really appreciate that, Lord. Okay, so now we're going to take Murrieta to the next stage, And let me just talk a little bit about, so what does the future look like? I don't know. But what I can tell you is the Wall Street Journal and Bain Capital have got some opinions. And what they said is technological changes will accelerate profound societal implications, with profound societal implications. Investments, and we're talking about trillions of dollars investments. Trillions are being invested in robotics, 3D printing, quantum computing, delivery drones, logistics, autonomous vehicles, low Earth orbiting CubeSat. How big is a CubeSat? About that big. You can put a payload into orbit on a satellite that big these days. Telecommuting, very long distance conferencing as in cloud-based collaboration, and low-cost airlines. All of them are eroding the cost of moving people, goods, and information. If any of you had seen it online, this is a couple months ago, and you wanted to go to Iceland, where Hilda is from, thank you, Economic Development, if you wanted to go to Iceland, there was a $49 one-way fare to get to Iceland, and that was a promotional fare. San Diego is going to see more promotional fares like that to Europe coming soon. A greatly reduced cost of distance at spatial economics will alter the way we live and work. Companies will need fewer employees, little inventory. By the way, if you go to Lowe's right now and ask them how much is in inventory, not a lot. If you want to buy the floor model and they're willing to sell it to you, you can get it. Otherwise, it's on order. It'll be delivered soon. Companies will need less land, and there will be a reduced need to be on a major thoroughfare. The workforce in the future won't be constrained with having to live in big cities or suburbs, because you can participate today in a far-flung team. Local production will rebound, reducing the advantage of low-cost labor pools in other countries, far removed from domestic markets. So assuming all or some of this happens, how does it affect Murrieta? And the answer is, if it happens or doesn't, we are still pursuing an innovation economy. By partnering with investors, universities, and businesses, we are building a brand that will tell the story of a community with an educated workforce that understands an entrepreneurial ecosystem is not a product. It is made up of a diverse group of industries. We are learning how to use big data. For those of you who go to hospitals in San Diego, all hospitals in San Diego share your medical records. Imagine in Murrieta if we shared records between all of our 4 water districts. Imagine if the city was able to use smart networks. That would certainly improve the quality of service. For those of you who are older, like me, and can remember the science fiction Isaac Asimov, one of the things he said was change, continuous change, inevitable change, that is the dominant factor in society today. No sensible decision can be made any longer without taking into account not only the world as it is, but the world as it will be. Next. Okay, what you're looking at is the wall covering in the city manager's conference room. This is the result of a full day's discussion between senior staff on council for a long-range strategic planning session. Our going-in premise was that if we are to succeed, Bruce Coleman needs to succeed. How can we best help Bruce? I mentioned we're a cohesive council. Collectively, we quickly arrived at the same decision or conclusion that infrastructure was the biggest obstacle to be overcome. Now, that has nothing to do with the state of California and the legislature in California. That's another story, but we'll be content to just talk about what we can do in the city of Murrieta. Okay, so under infrastructure, we have an infrastructure deficiency that limits our ability. There are areas in our city that could see a boom in development if they had water and sewage. Council has stated that we need to work closely with all 4 water districts to help initiate a master planning process and develop the water and sewer lines. This starts with property owners, metropolitan water districts, our local water districts, and our city. The rest of that, Clinton Keith Road extension. The Clinton Keith Road extension will be done in January, February of 2018. It will go all the way to Winchester, and it will have 6 lanes. The Murrieta Hot Springs road widening will begin at the end of 2017, and that will take Murrieta Hot Springs to a 3rd lane in each direction from Margarita to Winchester. Madison Avenue Bridge, that's one on our radar. We don't have any funding yet, but that's important for economic growth. Whitewood will start later this year and will be completed by the end of this year. And the Keller interchange, as I mentioned earlier, we've been working on that since 2009. Got 50% of the money. We need the other 50%. And as soon as we get it, then that interchange will be built to service 2 hospitals, Loma Linda on the south and Kaiser on the north. Okay, next slide. A week ago at City Council, Bruce Coleman had a slide, and I'm going to tell you what that slide said. It said, retail is changing. The impact of the internet on brick and mortar stores is significant. Every day, for those of you who read the Wall Street Journal, what you see is that another corporation in America is closing stores literally by the tens, some by the hundreds. Even Nordstrom's has been kicked out of some retail centers because they were making more money off of Starbucks than off of Nordstrom's, as incredible as that seems. We see a move away from big box retail to mixed use, to entertainment, and to food, and we call that placemaking. Even healthcare is going into some retail centers. Next slide. We intend to facilitate development of the northeast corner of the 215 and the Clinton Keith, that's the Vineyard. We will try and help the orchard at the northwest corner of the 215 and Clinton Keith build out. We will develop the Murrieta Marketplace over on the 79, and there's a major retailer who's already sort of semi-committed. I think he's coming. And we will promote both the Triangle and the terraces across the street as a mixed-use destination entertainment placemaking facility. And we intend to attract more hotels and restaurants. Next. Okay, by growing our regional healthcare services, we're talking Loma Linda. They have plans for another tower, and when they're ready, they will move forward. Kaiser, in their growth plan, the first hospital phase opens in the year 2023. We hope to attract and promote the growth of a medical research cluster, and that actually is happening. Next slide. Downtown. The opening sentence of the new Downtown Murrieta specific plan states, downtown Murrieta is a vibrant and bustling cultural center. We hope that it will be. If you look at the guidance council gave to the consultants, we said we want to see the least restrictive zoning possible commensurate with community values. And I think they delivered. As you look at the kind of the illustration on the top right, what you see in blue is Civic Center. Jefferson and Juneau, you see a little pink and for mixed use and brown for multifamily. Around Washington, that's mostly pink and a little brown. And then in Murrieta Creek, that's yellow, which is single family 1, and orange for single family 2. We seek developers who can deliver mixed use projects to us. We have incentives to offer, and we intend to solve our parking issues through public-private partnerships. And we will have to consider options for all that empty land that surrounds City Hall. What's the best use of that land? Next, we have a focus on science, technology, arts, engineering, and math. I told Dwight Cromie, who filmed me a week ago, that what we're looking for is biomedical and life sciences, medical research and development, medical devices, advanced healthcare, information technology, engineering, aerospace, robotics, international and local startups. We intend to grow our own. This is California after all. We're never going to attract a billion-dollar corporation to Murrieta, but with proper nurturing, perhaps we could grow a billion-dollar corporation. We seek master plan developers for our key future employment centers. Next slide. We need to do the assembly, and that's encouraging private assembly in key job corridors. Mr. Ingram and I are on the subcommittee that will help to take a look at the general plan, change some of our office research park to business park. Why? Because our industrial vacancy rate is less than 1%. We intend to market to San Diego, Orange County, and LA brokers and hope that they can attract some businesses here. Next slide. The mix focal point is about growing our innovation economy. We are looking for funding for accelerators and also for startups. And let me phrase the difference between them. Dr. Rosabel Ochoa, UCR Vice Chancellor for Innovation, is contributing to the MIC with startup training for infant businesses. That's those innovators. What is also happening through UCR, and more about that in a minute, is an accelerator is a boot camp for adolescent businesses. Next slide. As it states there, we're looking for seed capital from all of those different sources of money. We will promote co-working, and we will see a growth of home-based businesses. But the future is dependent upon smart people with entrepreneurial ideas. Are they coming to Murrieta? The answer is yes. Here's a who's who. Before I get to Jay, I just want to say that Mike Krasinski is in the back of the room somewhere, and he has been in innovative engineering solutions for quite some time, doing great work for the city of Murrieta and for his business. And he was recognized, and I was at a ceremony a few years ago where he was recognized by United Launch Alliance, which is a conglomeration of Boeing and Lockheed Martin, for the work that they had done for the National Reconnaissance Office. If you have to ask what the NRO does, then you don't know. But it was great work on behalf of Mike, and I just want to recognize Mike and to tell you that Mike told me something during the reception that I didn't know. I don't know where Bruce is sitting right now, but Bruce, you didn't mention to me that you were working with Mike and United Launch Alliance, talking to the Joint Powers Authority at March as a place to test future rockets. That's a potential. Bruce, you've done it again. Okay, so let me talk about the innovators. Jay Goth was involved in the formation of InSoCal Connect. He is the managing director and partner of Forentis Life Sciences Venture Fund, which focuses funding on precision medicine startup and early stage companies. He has offices here in Murrieta, at the MIC, in Orange County, at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. He's focusing on the opportunity to grow genetic research in Murrieta. Jay, go ahead and stand up. Come on. Later this month, Jay will be addressing the Precision Medicine Conference in London on raising capital for precision medicine. For those of you who wonder what precision medicine really means, just think about cancer and the ability to tailor treatment and medicine to an individual's DNA. That's precision medicine. David Bernalini isn't here tonight, but he's an international entrepreneur with offices in Milan, Mexico City, Santiago, Chile, and here. He's an executive with software companies Novo Hit and Hotel RSV. He does business in intelligence informatics and analytics on an international basis. His software work is, He does software work for the Chilean National Tax Agency and for the Mexican Federal Income Tax Agency. He's been a key leader at the MIC, and he also mentors high school kids in software coding. Scott Brovsky. Scott here tonight? Okay. Scott Brovsky is the director of InSoCal Connect, and at the MIC, he's the administrator for the city. He's an experienced serial entrepreneur, and he set up and runs software companies such as NZN and Labs and LIT Pro. He's also an angel investor. He works to identify, mentor, and seek funding sources for promising tech startups. He's taken on a key leadership role here in this city, working with the MIC and with the University of California, Riverside EPIC program, which stands for Entrepreneurship Proof of Concept Center. The goal is to conduct the UCR Innovation Startup Training Program, that's the accelerator at the MIC, which is based upon the Lean Launchpad model created at Stanford and offered nationwide by the National Science Foundation. Alan Herman. Alan Herman is a founding member of Murrieta, a tech startup in the San Gabriel Valley, connected to the Pasadena Angels investors. He really relocated to Murrieta, and he's helping to nurture the growth of the tech ecosystem here. He is a tech industry marketing firm with offices in LA, San Diego, and Murrieta. Terry Beardsley, CEO of T-Side Therapeutics and SL Biosciences in Murrieta. First USDA-approved treatment for dogs with osteoarthritic disease, and for cats infected with feline leukemia virus and or feline immunology deficiency virus. Juha Kiesi, I didn't see Juha here today. He's the Director of Global Expansion Solution, a Murrieta-based company which helps bring European companies to the U.S. He is also our city's volunteer international business advisor and president of the Finnish American Chamber of Commerce. Juha worked with the city at the MIC, the Murrieta Police Department, and the UCLA Anderson School of Management to beta test a tracking device from Jeppsen in Finland that helps find lost autistic children or seniors with autism. Dan Bechtel, president of Deep Energy Solutions, a local clean tech innovation company focused on creating and installing ceramic installation coatings for the more efficient utilization of energy, including air conditioning systems. Currently, he's working with Economic Development and our Public Works Department on the installation of ceramic insulation at the library as a free pilot program of the technology. Greg Griffs, electrical and computer aerospace engineer, 40 years in the business, founded at the MIC, the Electronics and Robotics Lab. He's a key leader in the Temecula Murrieta Software Developers Group, 300 members in that group, and the Hardware Innovators of Murrieta and Temecula. Letitia Cano, medical researcher, working under a DoD contract to perfect biomarkers for identifying pain, location, and intensity for soldiers in the field unable to convey that information. And last, Andrei Kilmanov, COO of Terramanta, an early-stage big data software company. His firm focused on financial market intelligence with a particular emphasis on crude oil and other commodity markets. He founded Garant, a software company in Russia that equates to LexisNexis in the United States. He moved to Murrieta from Charlotte, North Carolina because of, quote, the family environment, the great schools, and the proximity to Orange County firms. Thank you, Andre. Next. Okay. Export is important because it creates local jobs that pay 18% more than domestic-only companies. Foreign direct investment in Murrieta is at the $20 million mark. EB5 investment in Murrieta is at the $50 million mark. And Tower Bridge International, who imports Chinese students to our schools, contributes about $10 million a year to Murrieta. Both the Residence Inn and Marriott Courtyard are paid for by Chinese investment funds. We have welcomed delegations from Afghanistan to Singapore, and just last Saturday we had 12 Chinese investors here who liked what they heard. In regard to our connections to international organizations, Bruce Coleman, again Bruce Coleman, is on the Hong Kong Association Board of Directors. Who knew? Okay, next. We are focused on getting a university in this region, and we have kind of outsourced that to Roger Schultz, the president of Mount San Jacinto College, because he can make a better case for a university in this region than any of us or any of our cities can. The Tech Expo I talked about before, but in this context, where it says it exposes the kids to local companies, CryoQuip was at that Tech Expo, and they showed the kids what happens when you take a piece of metal down to 300 degrees on the Kelvin scale. If you tap it with something safe to tap it with, it shatters. The kids were pretty impressed with that little demonstration. So we are working with the school district in Mount San Jacinto to grow and retain our skilled workforce. And I want to give a shout out to Mayor Pro Tem Ingram, because he is working with Mount San Jacinto College, the Building and Industry Association, and the trade unions to ensure that Mount Santo College's vocational programs are the vocational programs that those industries need. In other words, the workforce of the vocational future. CarMax, BMW, and our hospitals all work with our school district to provide those career pathways that we have in our schools that they will lead to internships. And we work with the Inland Health Professionals Group to grow our local medical workforce. Oh, by the way, our local businesses, and again, Mayor Pro Tem Ingram, those kids that did so well in the virtual enterprise team, he's one of the counselors. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Ingram. Okay, as you make your way through this slide, it's pretty self-explanatory. The career pathways, they help us apply for funding. Third graders really are learning how to do software coding. It masquerades as a game, but third graders, honest to goodness, by the time they get to sixth grade, they know that they are software coders. I mentioned Tower Bridge International. Those 100 full-time students pay the school district $1 million a year. That helps keep teachers employed. The Youth Entrepreneur Success Place at the MIC is teaching kids who want to be entrepreneurs how to do business and how to do broadcasting. And the Murrieta Temecula Software Engineers Group, they meet weekly at the MIC, and they're building robots and teaching software development. So, next slide. At that partnerships, again, I've said this more than a few times. All of these partnerships that we have in this slide are the work of one man. You know who I'm talking about. Our Energizer Bunny, standing in the back of the room next to the camera, Bruce Coleman. Take a bow, Bruce. You did all this. Okay, next slide. I'm going to drink a little bit of water while Fred Latta-Priester, who is the Regional Director for the United States Department of Commerce's International Trade Association, comes up here and says a few words.
Thank you, Mayor Gibbs, City Council members, ladies and gentlemen, but more specifically, Rick Dudley and Bruce Coleman. As you could see is why City of Murrieta and why is the United States Department of Commerce International Trade Administration signed an agreement with the City of Murrieta. Well, you've already heard what Mayor Gibbs has indicated. So it goes back to 2000 again, and I've got to mention Bruce Coleman again, and he approached me, he says, "We're an international city." And I said, "Okay, I live right next door to you." And so shortly after that, he introduced me to Mayor Gibbs. And at that time, Mayor Gibbs was just ending his career with the aerospace industry. I said, "Okay, now I see the connection. International trade, aerospace industry." And then the next introduction was Rick Dudley. And I said, "Look, I'm going to test him on this." I said, "Where's Ouagadougou?" And he goes, "Burkina Faso." And that really, truly started the relationship between the United States Department of Commerce and International Trade Administration. It's the leaders such as Rick Gibbs. It's the innovation of Bruce Coleman and the leadership that leads the team of Rick Dudley. And how we established is the International Trade Administration. So we're connected with every U.S. embassy worldwide, 160 offices and 75 connections. Through the effort of the City of Murrieta, they've reached regions such as Europe, Africa, Middle East, and Asia. And believe me, some of the ambassadors from the U.S. consulate have actually visited us. And as they look at me and they keep saying, "Why City of Murrieta?" And all I could say is, it's a city that's a small city comparing to many cities across the United States that we developed a partnership agreement with the U.S. Department of Commerce because they get things done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fred. I got really one last task here to do. Christopher, come on, just stand up. This is Christopher Lorenzano. He is the lead economic development specialist with the Small Business Administration Regional Office in Santa Ana. His boss would have been out here, but a slight illness kept him from coming. That's AQ, Adalberto Quijada. And what Adalberto was going to do is just read a little bit, and we are going to recognize Michael Fisher at a future council session. As this reads, the U.S. Small Business Administration Santa Ana District Office has selected Michael Fisher as the 2017 Service Corps of Retired Executive Mentor of the Year. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, Murrieta has come a long way since 1991, a very long way since the Great Recession roller coaster ride, and we're well poised for the opportunities and threats over the next several decades. But none of this would be possible without educated voters, great schools, involved parents, wonderful parks, a great city staff, and a thoughtful, cohesive council. May Murrieta always enjoy the blessings we have, and may our quality of life always be this city's foremost goal. Thank you and good night. Brenda, Mark Harmon awaits.